Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Mastering Midlife, How to Thrive When the World Asks the Most of You. I am your host, Mark Silverman. Today, I have a new friend of mine on the podcast. Her name is Kathleen Reily. She is a mindset coach specifically for men in their midlife. She's also an integrative health coach, which is really good for us middle-aged guys because we need all the help we can get. She has a degree in economics, so I can't wait to figure out how she made the leap from economics and financial planning and all that to coaching men. She has a specific technology she uses to help men in midlife with their challenges. So I can't wait to get into that. Kathleen, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you so much. This is exciting. I'm happy to be here.
Great. So my favorite question to ask someone who actually has an expertise and actually has changed careers in order to do it is, why men in midlife? What do you care? Why do you care about us?
Right. Exactly. Great question. Great question. So I did. So I started out studying economics and finance in undergrad, and I loved what I was studying. Right, it was really fascinating. I loved the theory behind it and all of that. But I was also very much trying to prove to the world that I was smart and that I was valuable and that I was going to go on to grad school and then maybe go into banking and make lots of money and do all that jazz, right? And so then after I finished college, I went and I worked in Washington, D.C. for a policy and economic policy think tank. And I found that during that, and people can have transitions at different points in their life. And I found that during my time there, first of all, I hated the job. It was horrible. It was not, it was like, I felt like I was trading all of those childhood qualities like excitement, joy, curiosity, drive, all of those really important experiences in order to just kind of fit into the mold of adulthood and responsibility and getting older and becoming seemingly valuable to family and society. And so I left that job, and then I moved to New York, and I started to get involved in what's called positive neuroplasticity coaching. And the reason why I got involved in that was because I had some pretty severe anxiety and panic along with that position and in college. And I think a lot of that had to do with me, you've got to prove yourself. You've got to, there are a lot of other things involved as well, but I was able to heal my symptoms through just by retraining those neural pathways in the brain that were supporting anxiety and panic. So when I started out in my practice, I was working with people who struggle specifically with anxiety. And I started noticing over time that I was a lot more passionate about working with men specifically, and then working with men in their midlife, because I was noticing patterns that the clients that I had who were struggling with anxiety, they were also struggling with other kind of more emphasized advanced forms of what I had struggled with in this job in DC, right? And that kind of shift.
So in other words, your struggle with the constraint of the job and its kind of soul crushing nature, what you started to see that in middle-aged people.
Exactly. And so from there, there's a multitude of reasons why I got involved in working with this demographic, but from there, I really started seeing some interesting statistics around men in their midlife. Extremely high suicide rates, extremely high rates of substance abuse, a lot of stress, a lot of disillusionment, a lot of feeling as if they had lost that childlike self many years ago in favor of, you know.
Hold on. So you're making a huge leap here,
Mhm.
and I see the correlation,
Yeah.
but I want to make sure that people get the car, because when you're talking about suicide, you're talking about substance abuse, you're talking about mental health issues,
Mhm.
and then you leap to, I noticed that they lost their childlike ways,
Yeah.
and but those two are linked for you, right?
Mhm. Yeah, those two are definitely linked. So your question is, you want me to go into more detail about how they're linked?
I want to know why that correlation, why you just gave that phrase. Men are killing themselves. Men are using substances, right? And they're having mental health issues. And why is that have its roots in losing that childlike uh, demeanor?
Yeah, because though the experiences, the emotional patterns of experience in the brain, right, in the mind that you're having as a child, like excitement, like drive, like curiosity, like joy, like um, peacefulness of mind, right? These particular qualities are really critical to experience on a regular basis in order to live a happy, resilient adult life, right? So what I'm seeing is that.
Hold on, I have to tell you, I have goosebumps from you making that correlation, because we have the hustle and grind economy. We have the hustle and grind culture. We're always hitting it hard. The stress levels of the 1%, the stress levels to be able to afford that $1.6 million house, to make sure you drive a BMW, to make sure that you're not left behind, and especially in midlife, that the younger guys who can work twice as hard and twice as fast as you aren't taking over. We forget how important to have the whole gamut of emotions and the whole gamut of experiences are to our emotional and mental health well-being. So that correlation you just made for the first time actually made a connection for me as to, rather than just kind of new agey and touchy-feely reasons why we should experience joy, happiness, set all these uh, range of emotions. It's for our health. That makes so much sense.
It's for your health, it's for your resilience, it's for your ability to keep stress levels low, it's for your ability to actually glean happiness out of most of the moments in your day, right? Fulfillment is huge. And yeah, I mean, there's the tunnel vision problem, but there's also just that issue where you've lived, you know, X years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, right? Um, into your career, and then you stop and you begin to realize, oh shit, oh shoot, where
We swear and we cry on this podcast. Go for it.
oh shit, where are those childlike qualities, right? I've been living in tunnel vision, or I've been living in relative disillusionment with my life for so long. And maybe I took a path that I regret, maybe I didn't take a path that I regret. It's a case by case basis, the kinds of changes that one needs to make at that point. But yeah, and so and also to kind of get a little more personal. I grew up with a lot of brothers, and I've seen this shift, kind of the childhood to adult male pipeline shift.
And
Where
you're not talking about turning men into Peter Pan. You're not talking about turning men into to not growing up and maturing and taking on responsibility. You're telling them to not throw the baby out with the bathwater.
exactly, I'm teaching people. I work with people to bridge the gap between those childlike qualities and being an adult, right? Responsibility. I mean, and the reality of a situation, and I know you've said this before, the reality of the situation is, when the more authentic and in touch you are, some people don't like the word authentic, the more you know and in touch you are with your core self, which is, partially the childlike qualities, the just the more every area of your life is going to improve long term. right? Um, so so that's part of, and a lot of my work is focused on connecting the individual with their core self and understanding, who they are, at their essence. And part of that, um, I might be going on a tangent here, just stop me.
Because I have a question that just brought up.
Yeah,
So so I'm a VP at a company, in Chicago.
okay,
What's it going to do for me to get in touch with my core self essence?
right. Well,
What? Show me the money. What benefit does that? It seems things seem to be working on firing on all pistons. I'm making money. I'm doing good. Right. My family's okay. Yeah, I'm stressed. But what good is it going to be for me to get in touch with my core self essence?
right. So the question is, what are you giving up in order to have that monetary success, right? In order to um, be, that stressed out individual who is making a lot of money, but you are, fulfilling. You feel like you're living a meaningful life, a purposeful life. So the big question is, yes, the big question is, one, do you feel like you're living a fulfilling life? Do you feel like you're living a meaningful life? And are you giving up the whole gambit of human experience in order to live that tunnel vision, that myopic life where you're only feeding that professional part of yourself?
So you're asking, is it worth it?
Yeah, I'm asking, what are you giving up in order to do that? And then once I understand what you're giving up.
So how do you get, I'm sorry to interrupt you because I am that middle-aged guy and I'm fascinated. So please take my enthusiasm, be just that. So, so, so how do you show someone what they're missing? I drive a BMW, right? I wear Hugo Boss suits. What am I missing?
Right. Well, so the question is, um, what I do first is I go into, um, I often have, my potential client go into their childhood experience. How did they grow up, right? What kind of environment were they raised in? What kind of thought patterns were developed? And then what kind of thought patterns are still creating obstacles in their mindset today? Then I have them explain to me in more detail, um, what emotional areas of their life are underperforming, right? What is your definition of happiness? What is your definition of resilience? Is art, and almost everyone is struggling with lack of clarity and um, a hectic mindset, right? A cluttered mindset. So everyone benefits from more peace of mind. And usually, like 9 out of 10 times, that individual, the person who's driving the expensive car, making lots of money, and is able to afford those, that materialistic lifestyle, um, there's always underlying emotional, valuable experiences that they are really giving up to do that. Does that answer your question?
It does, but the hard part always is to see the cost benefit, to show people the cost benefit. They'll see it in my experience, but the price is too high to pay to let go of the way things are.
Exactly. And then you have to explain to them, because usually people don't understand why, if I'm happier and I'm more peaceful in my mindset, and I'm feeling more excited and I have more energy throughout the day because my stress levels are lower, usually people don't draw a relationship between monetary, professional success and those things, right? They often compartmentalize them. So
So
I
what you're saying is secretly, what you and I both know is if you have more peace of mind, if you are more elastic, if you do have more range of emotion, and if you are, more relaxed in the way you deal with the world, you will make more money.
Oh yeah, and I see that with clients all the time, and usually they end up creating more, diversified, well-balanced lives as well, because you're getting in touch with those other parts of yourself that you have, set on the back burner, or even further, in the way back of the pantry, and close the door in order to get to that professional and financial success. And that kind of success is important too. Like we all love cash. It's very important. Um, and so that's definitely not what I'm pushing here. I'm pushing that you can have it all, right? And you can have it better
So,
with, yeah.
so good. So most people that I talk to aren't going to quit their job to go basket weaving in Bermuda, right?
In
You know,
India.
oh, you're a life coach. You're going to tell me to, go follow my bliss, go follow my passion. Meanwhile, I have kids who need to go to college. I have
Right,
elderly parents that I take care of, and I have a lifestyle that I'm kind of used to. So I'm not leaving my job.
right, right.
I just don't want to die.
Mhm. Yeah. And I don't want to die unhappy, you know?
So what do you say to people? What do you say to these people?
Well, what I say to those people is I say, well, okay, first of all, let's design a program that you can fit into your busy life. And then also I go into describing that it's a lot simpler to rewire certain emotional patterns in the brain than they might think. And I would say that um, you know managers, coworkers, what have you, clients, people gravitate to authenticity, and people gravitate to joy, and people gravitate to happiness and confidence and strength and all of these things that many people are bound to lack at least a few of them. And so I would just break apart the areas in their professional life, if that's what they're mostly focused on, maintaining and improving, right? I would break down those areas and explain to them how um, a more evolved um, relationship with their core self will affect those particular, because especially men have to always be working towards that next goal, and are very growth oriented in their mindset, right? Very growth oriented, and how can I improve myself, and how can I get to that next stage, or get to that next goal, very purpose driven. So the importance here is making sure that can you can reshape the next chapter of your life, getting to those goals, but getting to those goals that you really want personally, not what other people want, right? If that makes sense.
It does. So help me with some low-hanging fruit. I'm listening in the car. You make a lot of sense. You're telling my story. What can I do? What can I do today to help myself?
Right. So first of all, you want to identify the top three mindset obstacles that you're dealing with. Okay. So one is usually a very cluttered mindset it may or may not be creating stress in the body. It usually is, particularly if they're negative, repetitive
You're
thoughts.
speaking Greek to me. What does that mean? Declutter my mindset.
So if you are constantly, if you're not experiencing any moments throughout your day where where your mindset is clean, clear, and peaceful, and calm, and focused on maybe one task at a time, then you need to stop and assess what are those thought patterns that are continuously drawing on your energy that aren't necessarily um, you know fruitful, right?
So how do I do that today? I
Get up.
really, I really love what you had to say. And I'm walking into the office and I really want to do what you suggested. How do I do that?
Okay, so well, first of all, just you want to get out a piece of paper and get out a pen, and focus on one thought pattern that stems from fear, right? So I would look at, if there's a continuous obstacle or thought process or particular thing that you're telling yourself on a daily basis that stems from fear, then you want to write that down.
So I'm walking around always worried that I'm going to be found out that I'm a fraud.
Okay. All right.
Is that what you're saying? That would be an example of a fear.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah. I mean, there are a million things. A lot of times I'll talk to people and they'll say, well, I'm afraid that I made the I'm afraid that I made the wrong decision about this one thing, and it keeps plaguing me. Okay, so write out what are the actual words and thoughts that you're having around that. Okay, so get clear. That's one thing you can do. Get clear on that. And then the second thing you can do is you definitely start some kind of form of meditation, right? Um, sometimes people are more in their bodies, right? So they prefer to do something that is physical, and that brings a calm and silenced mind. Some people are really comfortable with, actually are okay just sitting there and practicing that breath, right? Um, so that's another thing you can do. The third thing you can do that I always have my clients do is um, go back to one or two of the happiest memories you've had as a child, right? One of the most invigorating, exciting, just memories that stood out for you, that brought you joy, that made you happy, right? And identify what was that emotional experience that you had. Because the thing is, when you're retraining neural pathways in the brain, when you're retraining patterns, right? Emotional patterns in the brain. The fastest and easiest way to do that is by having emotional experiences, right? Of
And
excitement.
you can make those up.
You can. It's like, because we know that the brain doesn't know the difference between imagination and real life, right? So you can go back. In fact, this is probably the biggest thing that I would tell your listeners to do, is go back, find that one memory, right? Find that one memory um, that was most exciting. Whatever comes to you immediately. What was that? What was that feeling? What was that experience? Was it excitement? All right, so we'll take excitement. Going into the sensory information around that memory: sight, smell, touch, hearing, um, living into it, and then really just juicing that experience of excitement, right? Because when you allow it to take up all of the mind and all of the body in a big, pronounced way, and you do that, if you were to do that multiple, like 3 times a day for 6 weeks, you would be an excited person. You'd wake up every morning and
Because you've created those pathways, you've gotten your body chemically and conditionally used to those emotions, those chemicals, those feelings, and all that.
exactly. And you'd wake up in the morning and be like, oh, I'm so excited for today. And then, and it would be, or, so if that would be one experience, or you would just feel more, um, your emotions would be brighter, right? So those are 3 things that you can look at. But honestly, I find that people do much better with just one suggestion. So go with the last one.
No, I love that. One of the things that I do to reset is, everybody's going to know my dirty little secret. I am obsessed with talent shows and
Uh-huh.
the singing contests, like America's Got Talent, or I love the Australia's Voice.
Uh-huh.
But I'll watch, one of the more emotional performances where someone breaks through or some kid stutters and then sings amazing, and I'll just bawl my eyes out for 5 minutes just of watching this thing. And
Uh-huh.
I'll tell you, I feel so available and open to whoever I'm going to be talking to next.
Mhm.
Everything just washes away. So
Mhm.
I love this technology that you use to help people.
Yeah. It's technically the term is positive neuroplasticity. but it's still relatively fringe. But I mean, I really believe that 10 years from now, people are going to be doing neuroplasticity apps, like mindfulness apps, right?
Brilliant.
It's actually that simple, but it takes consistency, it takes intensity, you know. So yeah, we've definitely been just sort of chatting about everything.
No, this is really good. So if people want to follow you and get to know more about you, your LinkedIn page, I see that you post articles fairly um, prolifically, which is beautiful. I could learn a lot from you there. Uh, so if I could put your LinkedIn page and your website, if they want to learn more about your technology, where can they go?
I think a better link. Yeah, I mean, obviously they can connect with me on LinkedIn, but the most helpful link for your audience would be m.me/m number 4 M coach. And what that is my chatbot link, and it takes you to a whole ecosystem full of free trainings.
Oh, that's so cool. And I went to that website, and you're right, it's chock full, and I'll put that link in the show notes so people don't have to remember any of that and don't stop driving and write it down. You can
Yeah,
just click on it from the show notes.
yeah.
What are you excited about next? What's next for you that's
Well, let's see. What am I excited about next? Um, I'm really hoping to. So I recently started writing for um, an online website called Good Men Project. So I'm hoping to reach more of an international audience. I'm also hoping to expand my program into more of a like a more of a process. So if I can really target um, the most common experiences that men in their midlife want to rewire, then I can create more programs that will reach a larger audience. Because right now I just do one-on-one individualized coaching, and my practice is relatively small. So I would like to expand my practice in that way, and still offering one-on-one, because I think that's really effective. But if I can reach more people and maybe do a side group coaching program, that would be great. So my next task is to really pinpoint what the common experiences are and turn that into something that I can apply to a larger number of people. But that's down the road. And yeah, and also, a big thing is just making. I want to. I'm really passionate about my work because I want to, reach people who are particularly, people who are really, who really are disillusioned and feel like they're jaded or stuck. So, so yeah, I don't know.
got
That's
it? So if I'm a woman and I'm really fascinated by what you have to say, where do I go?
Well, you can go to my trainings, but I specialize in just working with men in their midlife. And that's because there are already a lot of materials and a lot of coaches and a lot of support out there for women going through midlife transition. When you go online and look at, blogs, support groups, this and that, everything is started by women for women.
Brene Brown is brought a whole army of people
Mhm.
online for that.
Right,
Very
right.
good. So thank you. This was really fascinating. A lot of light bulbs went off while you were talking, and I learned a lot. I really suggest people go to your website, learn more about you. There's some really good videos, and it, just one or two of these little things will change your day, which will change your life.
Yes, yes.
So thank you for being on the show. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you. Me too. I appreciate your time as well.
And to everybody else, thank you for your time and attention. It is precious to me. Have a great day, and I love you.